Welcome to In the Hot Seat with WRP, where our mission is to inspire entrepreneurship through engaging conversation. The reason I'm doing these podcasts is because a lot of you all out there have these great ideas, but the only thing that's preventing you from going is execution. You're no different than the guests I have on my podcast. So hopefully you'll be inspired and you'll execute. Now, getting back to the guest today, she is a phenomenal woman who has built a thriving salon. I'm not going to tell you what type of salon it is. I'm going to let her tell you that. With no further ado, we're going to get into her story. Miss Nita Howard. How you doing, Shanita?
I'm good. How are you, Robert?
Fantastic, fantastic. Do you go by Nita or Shanita?
So Shantanita is my full name. I go by Nita. My family who really know me, they call me Fez. So
Okay.
That's like an exclusive just for you. But
Okay.
Nobody really knows that I go by Fez.
Okay.
But Nita is my professional,
Okay.
business name, what most people call me. It's
Okay.
actually like weird to hear like my mom say Nita. I'm like,
Yeah.
girl, what are you talking about?
Okay. Well, give the viewers and listeners some background about you. Where you from? How you got into this industry? What did you do? Where are you from?
I am actually from Chesapeake and Portsmouth, Virginia. I kind of grew up in both cities. I moved here when I was 25. Like you said, it's just really just pursuing entrepreneurship. I had a salon back in Virginia, and I was a super entrepreneur there also, but I wanted to expand my career into the TV and film industry. I'm a super, super big fan of Sex and the City, and I watched the first movie, and I looked at Carrie Bradshaw's nails, and her manicure was just so red, and you could tell she kind of had a lot of hangnails, and you could tell she had smoker's hand. And you probably don't know what that is.
I don't know. I was going to ask you what a smoker's hand.
Smoker's hands is just a thing that if you're professional, you know what a smoker's hand is.
Okay.
And she kind of had smoker's hand. And I admired her so much that I couldn't believe that anyone would let her go on camera without manicuring her nails and making sure that her nails, in lieu of her outfit and her shoes and everything that she represented, that they would just leave her nails like that. So I was like, I need to move away and I need to work on TV and film because I wouldn't let Carrie be like that. So I decided to pick up and move from Virginia to Atlanta, Georgia. And the rest is history.
How long ago was that?
That has been now 14 and a half years. Almost 15 years.
And with that move, you knew you wanted to do nails?
Yes, I was doing nails. I had
Okay.
a nail salon when I moved.
Okay.
So nails, I've been doing nails. I went to nail school when I was 15.
Wow.
I was doing nails. Like I used to do nails when I was like 8 years old. Like I always knew this was my destiny. Like I used to take, we got like a $5 allowance for the month. And I would take my $5 and my mom would go to the flea market and pick up hair stuff and other stuff that she needed to take care of herself. And I would always just be glued to the nails and the polish and all of that. My mom was very much a mother's mom where I wasn't allowed to wear like colors or anything. So the most that I could do was wear like a clear glitter. Like, you know how most black moms are, you're not going to be fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, the polish wasn't going to slow me down. So I had to just only wear like clear. So I would take my $5 and I would buy a clear polish, the glitter, nail glue, and a pack of nails. And I still had like $1 to buy candy. I never cared about trying to buy candy. I always was trying to just take my money to get nail stuff.
So self-taught, and did you go to nail tech school?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I self-taught myself. And then when I went to nail school, they were teaching me nails. I was like, when do we get to the nail art part? And she was like, no, you have to learn. I was like, I know all this stuff. And I was the youngest in the class. Like I was 15. I was in a class with grown women. Like they were like, no, you need to learn this. I'm like, no, I know this. So I did all my, they required you to do, I'll say like 500 sets, 500 full sets and those are like nail extensions.
Okay.
I did them like overnight. Like I did them in a breeze. I was like, okay, let's just get these done. So I'm like, let's get to the nail art part. And I realized like they weren't teaching nail art because that was the only thing that I wanted to expand. My creative mind was like crying for just to express myself. I wanted to express my creativity. And I was looking for that in school and they just weren't teaching. So I was like, are we getting nail brushes? Like, how are we doing these things? And finally, I realized it wasn't going to happen. They were basically teaching how to do nails, what to do, all the stuff I had already taught myself.
Teaching you basically the basics.
They taught you the basics. So while she would be teaching others the basic, I would take orange wood sticks, which are just kind of like just a piece of wood that they use to push back cuticles. I would take those and dip them in different colors that I would bring. And I would draw flowers on nails. Like I was doodling while they would be teaching other stuff. And they were absolutely amazed. Like, you did this with an orange wood stick? I was like, yeah. I'm bored at this point.
Yeah.
I know how to do this. But they looked at me like, you were 15. You need to learn this stuff. And I'm like, I do this all the time.
So did you continue in that class?
Yes, I had to complete the class so that I could get my license.
Okay.
So I completed the course, and what ended up happening is they pulled me out of the class and put me, because it was a cosmetology and nail school. There were people that can come off the street and get their services for like 50 to 60% off because it's just students doing your work. So when they saw that I was ready, they were like, she's done with the classroom stuff. Just put her on the floor. So they just put me on the floor. So I just used to do customers that came in. So I was I bypassed the class. I just started doing people that came in.
Wow. Okay, what's the difference, or is there a difference between a nail tech, a nail manicurist, nail artist, or it's all in the same?
For me, they are all in the same. For other nail artists and nail manicurists and nail techs that are in the industry, they like, you know, how Erykah Badu is. Like, they're an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. So I'm not that sensitive. I think that those are titles. I don't think titles define people. So I do way more extensive work than a title could ever. You know, I don't box myself into a title.
Okay.
Nail manicurist only does this, or a nail tech only does this, or a nail artist only does this. I do nails. It's just that simple. I don't harp or focus on a title. Okay. I mean, you know, I do nails. That's just it. I mean, you know.
And that's it, just nails.
Just nails. Just put a gold in front of it.
Okay. How did you, you knew you always wanted to be an entrepreneur. How did you know that you were going to just go to the top?
That would go with just my trust in God. Like, I knew where I wanted to go, and I prayed for direction.
Okay.
So I know I can't do it by myself. And with my strong faith that I was like, listen, God, this is what I want to do. I don't know what your plan is for my life, but this is what I want to do. And if it kind of aligns with your plan for me, just give me the blueprint. And I always just pray for the blueprint, like, show me what to do. I prayed to open my mind to receive the answer, because a lot of people pray for things, but when God is talking to you, you don't know what's going on. Your mind is clouded, or you're confused, or you're not sure that this is what is being said. So I actually prayed for both. I prayed for the ear to hear and know it's you telling me these directions. And then I needed the blueprint. I needed to know which way to move. So when I moved here, the funny thing is I prayed, I said, listen, if this isn't for me, and you know this isn't for me, and this is just a move that I just want to make for myself, don't you let this U-Haul get there. You better bust a tire. You better shut the engine down. You better stop this truck, because I drove a 36-inch or foot U-Haul
36-foot U-Haul?
With
you drove it?
I drove it with my two children. At the time, I had two children. I drove it with my 2 children and with my BMW 5 Series on the trailer attached to it. So from Virginia to Georgia is an 8-hour drive. It took me like 15 hours to get here. But I knew, I said, if this is not for me, something better happen because I'm risking it all. Like, I'm just straight standing on faith. I'm bringing my children here. Like, I have my children with me. I had some family members were totally against me leaving my support system and just moving away to where I didn't have as much support as I had. I did leave my support system. That in itself was like major to have. At the time, my children were 3 and 6. So to have 2 young children, like my support system was very much like, you doing what?
You crazy.
You're crazy. And fast forward 14 years later, when I sit back in a room and I hear them talk about me and praise me and, just give me my flowers, as they say now, I just sit back in amazement. I'm like, wow.
That's a big truck, 36-foot truck, plus with a U-Haul attachment, with your car. How did you make those turns?
Well, luckily, from Virginia to Georgia, once you get on 85, you just going south. It's a straight shot. So it was a straight shot all the way to the neighborhood that I got to. My dad at the time lived here, and I went straight to my dad's house.
Okay.
And one of my childhood friends, she's like my sister. I hate to even use the word friend, but like she lived here too. So she was a big part of
the transition,
getting planted here and finding work. And she let me use I drove that car all the way here. And as soon as I got here, going up here, it was a 5-speed. The clutch went out.
I know about that.
So she let me use her car. Like, she was just a blessing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get down here, you open up your shop. Now, a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, running a business is different from opening up a business. You got the taxes, you got, I don't know if you had employees, payroll. I know the biggest thing for me was taxes. How did you deal with all of that?
I was janky at first. I didn't deal with it. Like, I was like, better me than them, But eventually my business grew to where, I had to legitimize everything. Like, stop running, because a lot of people, I don't think we hold ourselves accountable enough. That there are a lot of businesses going on that are not legit because we try to wear all the hats.
Yes.
You're the owner, you're the accountant, you're the cleanup people, you are the assistant, you're the chef. Like, you do everything for your business. And when you realize that there is a ministry for every person, and you need to bring those people in to do what their ministry is, it's somebody's ministry to do your accounting work.
Yes.
That's their ministry. That's what they are very well decorated in, and they don't mind doing what they love to do because that's what they love to do. So when I realized that, I couldn't do it by myself, and I started reaching out and using the resources that I had around me, that's when everything, got legitimized. And, okay, I have an accountant that does my taxes, and, I have everybody that is supposed to be in this area. Those people are in those areas.
For a reason.
They're there for a reason. I do nails. I'm multi-talented in other things, but from the business perspective, I did realize that I needed help from other people who specialize in those areas. So I reached out and I got the help, and I got my business set up like it was supposed to be. So I don't do my taxes. Yeah. I don't know. I have an accountant.
I can attest to that because I know my first year in business, I got QuickBooks. This can't be that difficult.
Oh, of course it's difficult because it's not what you do.
After a year, I said, you know what? I can't do this. Hired me a bookkeeper, accountant, And she said, your stuff was jacked up.
Yeah.
And now I don't mind paying her for doing what she does.
Exactly.
You know, because a lot of times we try to, I can keep this money in the house for myself.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Like you said, everybody has their own ministry.
Yeah, it's not for you to try and keep.
So,
Not at all.
okay.
But I learned that early enough on. I guess from doing nails, like I talk to different people every day. Everyone has a job. Like I've been with some very influential people in their industry. I have people that do accounting work for some of the celebrities that everyone loves, and it's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? You know. So I had guidance all around me.
Yeah.
That was, and everybody, I understand everybody doesn't have that, but I guess this is what we're here for, to let them know, like, you know, just kind of seek out help. Don't try to do it on your own. You're going to burn yourself out.
You will. So, okay. Where do you get your inspiration from, Nita?
My inspiration comes from the most random places. Like, I can look at this bottle of water and get inspiration. I'm like, oh, I should do something like that. Like, I like the way the waves from the wood are coming up like that. That'll be cute.
You have that artistic, creative mind.
I do.
Okay.
It can't be duplicated.
Okay.
Like, it's things I feel like a mad scientist sometimes. I'm like, if I'm on a long drive, or when I'm sitting still, I just get my notepad out. I have to write these thoughts down, because if I don't write them down, I won't remember them. And it's not because I'm older or, you know, anything like that. It's just because my mind is constantly moving. I'm constantly thinking about things. I'm constantly creating new things. And it's like, write that down. Write that down. In this moment, write it down. And there's so many things that I've kind of expressed out loud verbally that have appeared in the atmosphere. I'll see it later. I'm like, what? I just thought about doing that. Like, oh no, so this is the new thing. I've always been like, I tell people I'm 10 light years ahead of time. So you have to trust me for who I am and the capabilities that I possessed, or you can go with the trend. I'm either gonna create a trend and you can be the person that creates the trend, or you can follow the trend. And I'm not a follower, so I'm never gonna follow the trend. But I have, it's funny to me, like I see a lot of celebrities that I've worked with that I've tried to years and years and years ago. Like I said, I've been here 14 and a half years. So I was trying to get these girls to do certain things, and they were like, oh no, I can't do that. And I see them now doing it. And I'm like, just imagine if you would have did what I told you to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been your thing. Like, everybody would have been saying, I have the Robert edition, you know, like, this is, oh, Robert did that. Like, that Robert did that years ago, you know. So I don't know. I find my vision anyway. I just
Okay.
let my mind wander.
Did you take art classes in school, or you just
No.
had a
It is a
creative
natural
mind?
thing.
Wow.
It's a natural
The
thing.
reason I asked that, I took a lot of art classes in school. I thought I was going to be an artist. When I got to Georgetown, I took an art class. It was a beginning drawing. And my mind, it was so basic. I'm like, I can do this.
And see,
And
I can't draw.
And it was to the point where I had to go through that. I ended up dropping the class because it was boring to me.
Right, it wasted your time.
Wasted my time, you know, not being braggadocious. I was up here and they're trying to start me. No.
Yeah, that's how I felt when I went to nail school. I was up here and they're trying to start me here, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I know this. So let me get this little bit of work out the way.
Yeah.
Like, this was no problem to do this. And all right, now what?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, you still have to wait. So I definitely understand that.
Do you have any mentors or anyone you looked up to, you know, on this journey?
I won't say my mentors are, well, I do have a couple. Like, there's this, I hate to put her race out, but there's another nail tech that she has like a product line, and she came and brought. I purchased her products for years, and she just kind of made Georgia her home. She didn't live here before, and she made Georgia her home, and I get my biggest inspiration from her because I'm like, man, she came here, she went on her road, and she did it. Like, and I mean, her platform is larger than mine on a larger scale, but I admire stuff like that. Like, I admire, and I guess it's familiar for me. Yeah. It's someone that moved away from their base to start something new and to become successful in that. Like, I love to see it. So I would say she's like, she's like a drive in my force. Like, okay, like I can do it. Like, she came in the same city I lived in and did it, which I'm sure, like I said, her brand is way larger than mine on a larger scale. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't, it's not always like nail people that inspire me. Like, I like your story. I like those things inspire me to do something. Like, we procrastinate so much. I procrastinate so much. I'm not gonna say we. I procrastinate so much that I have all these ideas that I feel like they slip under the rug or slip away from me because I just don't do it. I have the idea. God will bless me with the idea, and I'll think about it. I'll come up with the plan, the blueprint, everything to do it, and then I'll sit and overthink the whole thing.
You got to move out of your comfort zone.
Have to move out of my comfort zone. I'm working on a project now that is stretching me, and that's what I had to tell them. I was like, you guys are stretching me. Not that I don't know how to do the work, or not that I don't want to do the work. I base my career off of comfort. It's like when people come in, they trust me to do a certain thing. I do it, and I'm comfortable. So I do what's comfortable, what's easy to get the thing done. I don't do anything that works my mind. Yeah. I just let my hands flow. But they're making me work my mind.
Yep. And that's when you're growing.
And I'm like, y'all are killing me.
Got to get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Become comfortable being uncomfortable.
I agree. I think that's the lesson that I'm currently learning. Being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Okay. Like, I lost sleep. Like, just like I had a job that I had to do, and I sat pondering for half the day. Just like, how am I gonna attack this thing? Am I gonna go this way? And then I would do a demo nail, and then I would do a demo nail, and it would be perfectly fine. Because now that I'm outside of that day, and I look back over those demo nails, I'm like, all of these were perfectly fine. You were in your head so heavy that you took all of this stuff and you made a whole big deal about it. And it was just my mind. I was just like, oh, I don't know. I just overthought it. And what I realized when I came out of it and I kind of look back over everything that I did, it was just I was uncomfortable. Yeah. I'm very uncomfortable. I don't put out mediocre work. I don't. If I do it, I'm going to do it. I'm very big on, if you accept the challenge, knock it out the park.
There you go.
Don't accept the challenge and then give me some mediocre work, because you could just easily have said no. Yep. And it wouldn't bother anybody, but for this to it stretched me. Stretch my comfort level. Okay. And but it was good because I'm creative. I enjoy. I was like, oh, okay, this what we on? Okay, so now I'm ready.
There you go.
Now I'm suited up. I'm ready to go.
Okay. What types of challenges that you had to face when you said you were doing nails back in Virginia, but when you got here to Atlanta, what type of challenges did you face?
The biggest challenge that I faced was finding a salon home, because when I first moved here, I didn't instantly open up a space. I searched for different salons to work at so that I could build clientele before I opened up again, because I came here empty-handed. I didn't have clients here. I didn't have anything. I knew I wanted to work in the TV and film industry, but I knew I also needed to make money So I was like, well, I have to do some nails so that I can make money. And the biggest challenge that I can say, and just not to get too deep, but it was race. I'm an African American woman in an industry where Vietnamese women and men run the industry. So even other African American women and men, they look at me as less than because it's like, oh, that's a black girl. She don't know what she's doing, or she gonna be late, or she gonna miss the appointment. There's such a bad stigma over being black in this industry that was my biggest hit. I probably, before I found my salon home that I started at, I probably had went to 40 salons.
Wow.
And they told me no.
Every last one told you no?
They told me no. I went in some salons and I saw they had people waiting and maybe like one or two people just working where I knew they needed the help. And they were like, no, no, no. And I tell you, my story is super phenomenal because, like I said before, I prayed for the blueprint and I prayed for direction. And I went to this salon downtown across from Emory, downtown by Gladys Knight's. And there was a 24-hour salon. And I was willing to hustle it up. Like, I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get the money that I need. I'm a single mom with 2 children. Like, I got to work. So whatever it is. I was willing to work in strip clubs. I was like, strip club industry is large down here. Those girls have to be pretty. They need their nails done.
Yeah.
So I was willing to work in a strip club. Like, I was willing to hustle it out. But I went to a salon downtown Atlanta, and there was a gentleman there doing hair. And I was asking him about work. And he was talking about the salon. And he told me everything about the salon and the ins and outs. He's like, but you don't belong here. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you don't belong here. You need to be in Buckhead. Like, you need to be by the Gucci store. And my friend Sherry Wright told me never to tell anybody that I didn't know where the Gucci store was. She's like, Nita, don't ever tell anyone you don't know where the Gucci store is. I was like, well, Sherry, I'm not from here. I visited here, and it's just not the same as living here. So I had no clue where the Gucci store was. So that next day, I dropped my friend Erin off. She let me use her car because my car was down. And I went on my hunt for the Gucci store. So I found this shopping center, and I saw like Old Navy and other stuff. And I was like, the Gucci store probably isn't over here by Old Navy, but they had a security guard. So I was like, hey, do you know where the Gucci store is? And he was like, nah, I don't know. I'm like, how he live here and don't know where the Gucci store is? Like, what's going on? Where the Gucci store at? So what I did, I looked because I'm looking for the Gucci store, I did see that there was an Ulta. And they said it was a salon. So because I was still hustling for a job, I was like, well, shoot, let me go in here and see if this salon needs a nail tech while I'm over here. And then I'll try to find the Gucci store in addition to that to see what's around the Gucci store. And I went into Ulta and I went into their salon, and they were like, no, we don't do nails here, but there is a really big nail salon upstairs. Go upstairs and try upstairs. So I had my resume, I had my picture book because you have to show your work.
Okay.
And I went upstairs and they started asking me nail questions. And I answered all the nail questions. They were like, when can you start?
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay. So I told them when I could start. And they were like, well, you'll have Wednesday off. And that was a sign for me because in Virginia, whenever I worked for years, I always had Wednesday off. So for me to get there and they gave me Wednesday off, that was a sign that I knew I was where I was supposed to be. And they had a Navy Federal ATM downstairs. And that's the bank that I bank with. And they were scarce back then. In Virginia, they're on every corner.
Yeah.
But I was like, they have a Navy Federal.
I'm good.
I'm good. This is where I should be. So I started work there, but all the other salons, they turned me away because I was Black.
How long did you work there?
4 years.
Wow.
4 years.
And when did you decide to go out on your own?
I decided to go out on my own when I no longer needed the salon.
Okay.
When my books were booked because of me, and I never had to get any of their walk-ins, and I was just booked every single day just because of my own people and appointments and everything that I had going on. I knew I was okay to leave. I had built my clientele up where, and that was with the help of many people. I was also, at that time, I started working in the TV and film industry within like my first 6 months. I had no clue that everything would transition so swiftly. Like my life changed in 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how I knew, I was just following God's direction, and he was putting the puzzle pieces. He was doing all the hard work. All the heavy lifting was already done. I was just meeting people, and I had the will to work and to the drive to get everything done. And like I said, I'm not a slouch. If I do it, I'm going to put my all into it.
Yeah.
So that built my reputation in the city. And before I knew it, I had the hottest, everybody, every socialite, everybody in the city. I was their nail tech or nail artist or nail manicurist.
Did the owner of that salon, I'm sure the owner of that salon knew it was time for you to spread your wings and leave.
So
Well, how did that happen?
When I left that salon, it was sad. I cried. I boohoo cried because I don't like leaving things, and I don't know. I'm just sensitive there with saying goodbye to things, but I also understand that you have to say goodbye to go to the next level. But the good thing was the owners, I had helped them because we had become such good friends from us working there, and the type of people I had. Like, it was just always the funny joke, Nita, do all the rich Black people, so they knew like I had like a superb clientele.
Yeah.
And we became friends. I would help them with different things, and they wanted to sell the salon.
Okay.
So I was trying to help them sell to some of my clients. And another Asian Vietnamese couple or family purchased the salon from them. And we were on, not necessarily, like an NDA that, we couldn't leave. If we left, we couldn't work within a certain mile
radius
of the salon. So when the new people came in, I stalled on signing my contract because I knew at that point, I was like, oh, this is my out. So when they left, I never signed my stuff, and then I just ended up leaving eventually.
Okay.
So that's how I was able to get out of the salon and still be able to work because I got a space less than a mile away. So I was free from my contract. I was able to move like I should.
And all of your clientele that you've gotten basically word of mouth?
Yes.
Wow. Best form of advertising.
Oh man, that's the best form. That's carried me for 14 years. I tell people I'm BI before Instagram. Like if Instagram crashes, like all these people are like, oh my God, what am I gonna do if the internet crashes? If the internet crashes, I'll still be fine.
Wow.
Social media wasn't pertinent 14 years ago. Like
no, not
people didn't
like
really
it is
care.
now.
I was always on top of social media and stuff like that just because that's just me. But my clientele base, no, they all have my phone number. Like I could never change my number. Like I dated guys and they're like, oh, you need to get rid of that. I'm like, I could never. I'll leave you before I lose my number.
This is how I eat.
Yeah,
This is how I
it.
live. So-
I got a call recently. I was getting on a plane back here, and I'm rebellious. So when they said turn your phone off, I didn't turn my phone off. I was like, we're sitting on the runway. I'm not turning my phone off yet. When I see that we're going to move, that's when I'll shut my phone off. So I got a call, and it was from a makeup artist that I worked with 14 years ago. And she's like, is this Nita? I said, yes, ma'am. She's like, are you still doing nails? I said, yes, I am. She's like, are you still doing it for TV and film? I said, yes, I am. That was a 14-year difference. I hadn't talked to this lady, and she linked me with a major job. And I wouldn't have gotten that
if your phone was off.
If my phone was off, or if I had changed my number. Like I would have lost it. So there's a certain connection to my number that I just won't let go of. It's just because it's people know that's Nita Nails. And most women in the city have me saved as Nita Nails.
Yeah. Wow. That's all right.
Yeah.
So how are you engaged in the community, local community, online community, where you live?
So. Not as much as I would like.
Okay.
I would like to do more. I have a friend of mine who lives on my side of town also. And she's like, listen, all the restaurants that are around, like we have to start going to those restaurants and patronizing those things, because those are the only ways we're going to be able to keep them in our community. Like, that's just it. So I try to patronize my community just so that we can have a nice space to live. But no, I'm not as good as I would like to be. I do give and do things. It's just not in my community.
Okay.
Like I have a friend that sends things to Ghana all the time, and I'm always giving her some. Like, hey, take this bag, take this. I just pulled all the stuff. So I do it. I just don't always do it in my own community.
Okay. Any particular resources that have been helpful in getting the word out about Nita's Nails, or it's just you do good work and then the word just spreads like wildfire?
Yes, it's word of mouth. Word of mouth. Particularly in the entertainment aspect of my career, it's mostly word of mouth because those people trust each other because they're in the same field.
Okay.
And they need people that they can trust. And once it gets out that most people meet me and they're like, oh, you do all these people, you should take pictures, you should do this. And I'm like, no,
that's not me.
I don't do that, because for me, I understand how my clients are. Some of my clients aren't in hair and makeup when I do them. So I'm not taking a raggedy picture of you. Like I'm not doing it. I built my clients up. Why would I take bad pictures of them? Or I don't want to seem like a fan. Not that I don't respect their talent and what they've accomplished, because I do, but I don't want to seem. I see it. I see how they feel after they've been bombarded with people. I see how they feel when it's someone that's just always with a camera in their face. So for me, I go a different route. I build an experience with my clients. So, and that's not a part of the experience to take pictures with them or
Post them on Instagram.
Posting them, because like I tell people, me taking a picture with, let's just say I took a picture with Beyonce. That's not going to make more Beyoncés come to me. That's going to make regular people come to me that aren't on her level. And if I'm pursuing to get clients on her level, then I have to move like people on her level. It's me taking pictures for what? I do take some pictures when I do better with pictures, because like I said, I want my my grandkids to know they had a big mama, so just to have some stuff for memories, but not to exploit or not to use for money or anything like that, because I know in the long run it will hurt me more than help me. But that's the first thing people say. You need to get pictures. If people saw that you did this, and I'm like, I don't want those clients. That's not
that's not what I'm looking for.
That's not the tax bracket I'm trying to step in. I don't want that.
Now, do you have any assistants, or is it just you?
It's just myself.
Okay.
I try to train my kids, and they're just like, girl.
They ain't thinking about this?
No, not at all. I would love for my children to. I like that they have their own lives. I do. All of us are. My daughter is actually graduating in December and about to start law school in 2025.
Okay.
My son, he is a free spirit. They are both equally half of me. And then I have the new baby that we don't know what she's going to be. She's a shy woman like I am right now. So that's the only thing we know. But I just do it by myself. Me and God, we just rolling.
And your appointments. Your appointments already set?
My appointments are set. I've tried assistants, and I love people, but I don't know how to properly work with people yet because I've worked by myself for so long. I don't know how to articulate my thoughts properly. I don't know how to finish certain thoughts. I may give you a broken thought, and if it's not executed like it is in my head, then I have to remind myself, like, hey, you kind of gave a piece of the thought because it's just you see something else in your head. So that's something I'm working on because on this next level that I've hit, I have to build a team.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to build a team, but people see me and they see celebrities. So I don't want those people.
Yeah.
I want people that actually love the craft. And so it's hard to kind of find those people that are strictly interested in just being a creative, following direction from a super creative. And, it's like, could Kanye work with Kanye?
That's a good analogy.
It's kind of where I am with, what I do. It's almost like I'll put people where I need help. But on this side of it, I just kind of, I manage it on my own.
Yeah. I don't need, people who are going to just be fans of these celebrities. No, that's not what I'm looking for.
I don't need that because when we're in there in the nitty gritty and we're working and busting our butts, I don't need you to be a fan right now. I need you to be a worker. Like you got to know when to bow out. I can be a worker in this moment. I have a friend that I've been her personal for over 10 years. And one of the reasons she said she kind of changed who she was working with is because, just to sum it up, from my understanding, these are not her words, these are my words from just hearing the thing, they got too comfortable. You can never get too comfortable in your workspace.
Exactly.
You can't go in their refrigerator. You can't go and like, girl, like, even if they are your friend. And they are my friends. I'm talking about pick up my call any hour, anytime. We can sit on the phone and talk. They're in my, if you see who I DM, they the top two and they probably ain't number two, like so, but I've always maintained when I'm working, I work for you right now. What do you need? What do you want? What are you looking for? And I'll do that. Then we can be friends when I'm done. But when I'm in my work element, I'm working. And a lot of people don't know how to differentiate between the two. They're like, oh no, this is my friend. I'm just going to do this. I'm like, no, this is your friend, but this is your job. Do your job first. And I tell my friends, I'm like, hey, if you want to play, we can play. But I'm not going to get my work done. So if you want me to get my work done, let's do the work first, and then we can kick it after that. And then everybody will be fine. But if you just want to kick it and chill, okay, I don't mind coming over here to chill. You need your nails done, though. I don't care about my nails.
Wow. Okay. Well, what type of advice would you give someone who says, Nita, I want to be a nail salon tech, manicurist, artist just like you? What type of advice would you give that person?
I would tell that person to, what would I start with? I definitely would start with having some endurance. You have to put yourself to the side. You have to put your wants to the side. And you have to dedicate your life to your job. That come with losses. A lot of people can't handle the losses that come with succeeding. They can't handle. I heard like Drake say it's lonely at the top. And I felt that. I know what it means to be lonely at the top. Everybody can't go with you. You have to make certain sacrifices. I sacrifice my children my kids are nail shop kids. The funny thing is the older kids are like, is she gonna be a nail shop baby? And my son walked in my house, I have a nail room and in my office or whatever. So in my office, I have a chair for my baby. And my son kind of walked in and he was like, oh, so my sister gonna be a nail shop baby too. I was like, won't you? This is my job. This is what has to happen. Like, y'all have to learn how to act in a nail shop while I do what I have to do. So I'll still be able to tend to you and I'll still be able to do my job. But it comes with a lot of dedication to your job. So I would just tell them to stay strong in your head. Don't overthink yourself. Don't doubt your creativity. Art is an individual thing. It may not look like everything else that you see, but there is an audience that appeals to what you do. Don't ever doubt yourself. Be confident. Confidence walks and talks louder than any words that anybody can say. You can walk in a room and command attention just because you're confident.
Absolutely.
You don't have to say a word. Your energy is going to come in and command everything that's going on around you. Have that same mindset when it comes to your work and your craft, and you'll grow. Trust the process. You have to trust the process. It never looks like it's all the line is always like this. But as the line looks like this to you, you don't know it's doing this underneath you. You all over the place here, but the line is still you're just moving straight. Right up under your nose. And you have all this chaos here on top. Your mind, your thoughts, people's ideas. Don't take people's ideas. Come up with a plan. Stick to the plan. If you tell me your idea, if John Doe tells me his idea, if Jane tells me hers, then there's just a whole bunch more confusion in my head. Be quiet. Do what your plans are. And stick to those and trust that everything is going to work itself out. It's art.
Yeah.
It's no carbon copy.
I tell people all the time, and they come up to me and tell me, like, they have an idea. I tell them, move in silence.
Please move in silence.
Don't tell everybody everything.
Don't tell anything.
Move
because
in silence.
You know what, Robert? Once I have an experience that I had with another nail tech. She called me. And I was doing this mega celebrity at the time. And she called me on good faith to offer, like, hey, you should be trying to do this. And I thought it was good faith. But then when I look back over it, I was like, why are you calling me, telling me what I should be doing? It's not your opportunity. If it was your opportunity and this is what you should do. But in her mind, it was no ill will. She was honestly calling saying, this is what you should be doing. Because that's what she would do. But we're not the same people, so I shouldn't have to do, what you did. But I shared an idea that I was doing. And I was moving out of my apartment at the time, so I wasn't able to push through on it. And as fast as I settled down, I saw her promoting the idea as her own. Exact words, everything. And for a long time, I was so upset with her. But then I had to come to the realization of if I wouldn't have shared my idea, she wouldn't have had the opportunity to execute my idea. And maybe it was a similar idea because I've learned that creatives, once it's out in the atmosphere, it's just jumping from person to person. Somebody has to execute it. So you can create this massive idea and not do anything with it, or you can think of it and God can bless you with the opportunity of saying, hey, this is what you should do. You can listen and do it, or you can sit back and watch somebody else do what was good for you. And at the time, this was before the pandemic. So I came up with the line of face mask. I was like, oh, we're nail techs. We wear face masks. Why not make them cute? I didn't know that God was preparing me for a whole pandemic to come where everybody in the entire world wore face masks. That was my $1 million idea. But I drug my feet on it. And I told somebody else the idea. they did it, but then that put me in a corner to where now I'm overthinking, like, well, if I do it now, people are gonna think I'm stealing her idea. And I again, I overthought the whole situation. And then finally I was just like, then the pandemic hit. It was like, hey, my friends were like, Nita, you was on to something 5 years ago. I had years. That's why I always say I'm lightning years ahead. I'm way advanced. Yeah. Now that I accept that superpower, oh, I'm unstoppable now. Because I understand. Before I didn't understand. It was you just caught in your world. Yeah. Working, taking care of your family, sleep deprived, hungry. You know, you're not really realizing what your superpowers are. We all have superpowers. Yeah. Use your superpowers.
How do you balance your personal life from your work life?
I decided early on to set those boundaries. Like when I realized that my children were younger and I worked all the time, they were in the salon all the time, I decided, I was like, I built my clientele up to a point. And my sister used to tell me all the time, you work like this and them people gonna come to you no matter what you do. Them people gonna come. And I was like, no, you have to be available when the people are available. She's like, no, you need to set a time where you're available so you can have a life. Like you don't have a life. Like you're just all into, so I changed my schedule. Okay. And people came when I told them to come. Because they knew I was that good. But in my mind, I was like, I don't want to.
You just want to be available.
Yeah, you got to be available. And some things, it was, I have a story for everything. And so many things have happened in my world. But I was supposed to go to a wedding. And I got a call to do Rihanna. And it was for the weekend. And I had a flight scheduled, everything to go out of town. And I was like, see, this is why you got to be available when they available. Like, why would I plan something? Because, I don't know what's happening. Like, I should just be available. And it's almost like it's like God was in like an office chair. You know, the office chairs that kind of lean back. And it's like I vividly saw him sit back, cross his arms, and lean back in a chair and say, okay, what you going to do? Like you said, this is what you want to do. You want to work with celebrities and you want to expand and grow your career. But now I gave it to you. Now what you going to do? So I told the people that I had to check my schedule and see what my availability was. And I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? That's how I called. I was like, I'll be available Saturday. I was like, I'm not going to go to the wedding. I lie to you not. Maybe within 2 hours, a tornado hit. It went from like a level 1 to like a level 4 or 5. And it was projected to hit that weekend. And I knew it was going to be like rain, but I didn't know it was going to be. It became like a threat over the whole state. It was a state of emergency. She called and said the wedding's canceled.
Wow.
I didn't get the chance to do Rihanna that time, but I still take that as a lesson that, what are you willing to do? Yeah. I mean, you want this, but you want to have a life. Yeah. So I wanted to go out of town, get a break, go see my family because I moved away from all my family. I wanted to leave, but I was like, I want to do this. Yeah. I got to do this. So I got to do it. I was out of town in Charlotte for CIAA. My sister and I kind of made that a ritual that we would meet at CIAA in Charlotte. And I got a call to work with an artist and to do a photo shoot. And it wasn't a paid shoot. It was for credit. Like I would get credit in the magazine. I would get my credit. And to think about that now, that was shady mess how they did that. Like they could have paid us to do it, but they were, don't knock the hustle, you know. But I left. I told my sister I have to go. And she couldn't understand it. But fast forward now, and I am where I am. Those sacrifices mattered so that I can have the freedom that I have now. I work Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Just 3 days?
Just 3 days. In the salon.
3 days?
I work work Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Everybody tell me they don't know how I'm living off one client a week. I'm like, I bust my butt. I travel. I set my schedule up so that I could travel to do clients Monday and Tuesday. I would have Wednesday and Sunday off, and then I would sit stationary at the salon Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's the best thing that I could have done.
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you ain't working.
I mean, if I don't have clients, I don't. Some Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm working 15 hours.
Okay.
So it's just the luck of the draw. Just depends on.
But
when
that
I'm doing
freedom, you have to enjoy it, don't you?
But I established that.
Yeah.
I made that.
Yeah.
Yes, I enjoy it.
Working for yourself is priceless.
It's priceless.
I couldn't go back and work for nobody.
And I don't work past 2:00 on Saturdays. Like somebody called me and said they want an appointment at 1:00. I'm like, God, that's late.
It's time for me to go. It's time for me to go home.
It's done. We done.
Yeah.
Like 1:00. What? Who's doing that?
Yeah, but freedom is priceless. You know, once
Freedom
you
is totally priceless.
taste it, it's like, where have I been?
But I also don't mind, and it still plays onto the work ethic.
Yes.
I don't mind starting at 6 a.m.
Yes.
to be done by 1. I don't mind starting early. I don't start at 10 or 12 and be done by 2.
I'm a morning person.
I'm not even a morning person, but I've dedicated that time that I would rather start at 6 a.m. And I think it's just from working on set, because when you work on set for different TV shows and films, like your call time may be 3:42 a.m.
Okay.
Like the world is moving 24 hours a day. Your call time might be 8 p.m. So with that inconsistency, it just kind of made me comfortable with working super early in the morning. Like I will work at 5 a.m. If I'm up not doing nothing, I'll work at 5 a.m. and I'll work all the way through and be done by 10. So I don't mind doing that. It's
Gotcha.
Erratic, but I mean, it's how I built my freedom. Like I'm not a slave to it anymore. I set a schedule. I work towards it. Whoever I can get, I can get. It's like a friend of mine said, if I can get you in, thank you for coming. If I can't get you in, thank you for trying. But that's not for me. What's for me is for me. I don't have to be exhausted and overworked and sleep deprived and all that, because I'm not giving you my best. I'm not giving you my best when I'm like that. I'm all over the place. My makeup terrible. Eyes running, eyeshadow, liner crazy. No, bags on the eyes. You're gonna burn yourself out.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, well, we getting to the end now, Nita, and I want to ask you a hot seat question. Give the audience and the listeners and viewers an embarrassing situation that you were in, and how did you handle it?
Are we gonna just say like work related or?
Let's say work related.
Okay.
Work related.
Work, I don't really have embarrassing moments. I've been extremely blessed to have encounters that have been better than others, but mostly the majority, out of 14 years, I probably can tell you 2 of my worst times that probably irritated me or had my anxiety on high. And on one of these occasions, I signed an NDA, so I can't disclose who the person was, but I walked in and I always dress well. People don't really realize how far dressing well gets you. And there's a different level of respect that people give you when you dress well. I've always been fully dressed every experience. And I walked into this client's trailer. She was in town filming a movie. And I walked into her trailer and she was in her phone, non-responsive. Her people told me that she didn't really want to be talked to that much. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really like talking to people. I'm a shy woman, so I don't really like talking to people that much anyway. So I'm good with putting my headphones in and having some music playing and, and just tuning everything out. I'm always in my own world. And I was doing her, and she kind of snapped on me. Like our energy was crashing. Like I can't tell you a specific thing she said to me that had me so worked up, but her energy was off. Our energies fought. And I will say this much: we're both fire signs. So our energies were like, I'm like, why is she acting like this in my head? Because I can't say anything. I'm like, she's not talking. I'm asking her questions about her nails. I'm not asking you about your life. I'm asking you questions about your nails. Like, I need to know this stuff because I need to know what I'm doing, what shape you want, what colors do you want? This is stuff. And she's acting like I'm irritating her. Like, this is what's going on in my head. And time kind of didn't permit to where I could even polish her. I just ended up just cutting her down, doing a feel. Time didn't permit for me to even polish her. So we were going back and forth trying to figure out, she wanted like this particular design. And one thing I hate, and I know hate is a strong word, but I hate when clients look on social media and they see trends that they see on social media, and then they come to you and say, hey, this is how you're supposed to do it. No, that stuff is meant to entertain you. And this is the TikTok and at this time it was no TikTok, but these are your YouTube and your Instagram and your Facebook. That's not the only way to do things. Like when you've been established, I've been doing nails all my life. Like there's 5 ways to get to a destination. You have your way, my way, they way, that way, and this way. They all get you to the same place. But she was adamant about me doing this particular design, this particular way, that it burnt us out of time for her to ever get polished. I was grateful for that, but I knew I had to do it. It was just, they have to go and film. She had to go film. So they put me in holding until after she filmed. And at this time, I had told them, I'm here, I charge by the hour. So they put me in holding for like 8 hours. So I'm sitting doing absolutely nothing for hours and hours. And I'm on the phone telling my friends, and they're no better. They're like, oh, what's she on? So I'm rallying up the gang because I'm sitting here. I'm like, I don't know what's up with her. Like, and I can't say she said anything to me. Our energies were just in a very clashy space. And I was like, oh, when they finally called me at like 2 a.m, they said, they're still filming. Go ahead and go. We're not going to do this. Because I'm texting. I'm like, hey, I need an update. Yeah. Like, what's the update? What we looking like? And I sat there and, I made decent money. But I did not care. I was like, I ain't never got to do her no more. Like, I just didn't like the experience. And I came down from my emotions. And I looked back over the situation. And I was like, she never said anything rude to you. She never did this. The questions that you asked her, which was like your shape, or she was like, just do whatever. Just do. She basically told me to do what I professionally thought was best. So when I came back I came down off all of that, I realized who she was. She was a mega artist, still is a mega artist to this day. And what she was doing, she was entrusting me because I was in the space with her. So she trusted that I was as big as she was in my field. But my insecurities and my anxiety created this storm to where now I'm fighting energy with her. Instead of opening up and going in confident and understanding who I was. And when I say understanding who I was sitting across from a mega artist. There are people that probably would have broke down crying just to get the call. I see people that work with her to this day and their stories that they put, like, I can't believe that I'm working with this person. And I'm like, shit, I work for her. She drove me crazy. Like, what? That lady booked me. Whenever she came to the city, she booked me every time for a couple years.
Wow.
And I thought our experience was horrible. And I got out of my own head. And I was like, no, she just trusted you. You didn't trust you.
Wow. Say that again.
She trusted you. I didn't trust me.
Wow.
I was here and I was scared to mess up. And I didn't know, I didn't realize, because a lot of times we are often doing the work that we don't realize that we've accomplished another level. It's like, hey, you're on another level.
Yeah.
Hey, you moved another level, but you're so busy in the field working, you don't get to see on the outside what people see. You just see on the backside where I got to do this work, I got to get this done, I got to do this. I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm not where I want to be. So you just grinding. She saw me from the outside in, and like I said, she approached me like, listen, if you're in the room with me, you're a big deal. That means you're great at what you do, because you wouldn't be in the room with me if you weren't. And I had never had anyone approach me that way. And when she kept booking me, like, I was shocked. I was like, why does this lady keep calling me?
But now you know.
And it did so well. I like, our next visit, I gave her products. I was like, use this, keep it. She was like, okay, cool. Like, it was no problem when I got out of that space and I realized, like, hey, do you realize what you're doing? Who you're doing? Like, this is great. Yeah. And so that's like one of my worst experiences. Like, I was worked up for hours.
And then how you flip that into a positive.
And I flipped it into a positive because I held myself accountable. Yeah. It wasn't her. Yeah. Like I said, I can't tell you anything that she said because she didn't say anything. She didn't do anything. She did say, and it's a running joke to this day, she was like, you're holding my finger mad tight, yo. So, like, one of my friends that I call, whenever I do her nails, she's like, you holding my finger mad tight, yo. So that's like a joke that's carried for all these years. Wow. But that was it.
Are you accepting more clients?
I am. I'm fresh off maternity leave.
Okay.
I have all these ideas that I want to get out of my head that I was on I didn't realize that pregnancy gives you like it stunts your brain. And
well, I don't know about that. So.
Oh man, during my pregnancy, like, I could not create apples or oranges. The kids joked on me and my friends joked on me. They said, what we getting today, Chrome? It's like, listen, that's all I got to give. I can't think of nothing to do. I can't think of any designs. And now that we're halfway to one for my daughter, I'm full of it. I'm full of life.
You ready to get back out?
Oh, I'm ready to get back out there.
So tell the listeners and the viewers, how can they get in contact with you?
You guys can get in contact with me via social media. On Instagram, my name is I'm Nails. That's I Igloo, M Mary, and then the word nails with an S. There is a booking link on my Instagram that you can just click book. It'll take you right to my booking site, and you can book with me. My website is imnailsnoir.com. My phone number, I'm an old school girl. So I'm like, just call me, and we'll work it out. But that's all on my website. All the contact information is there where everybody can get in contact with me.
Okay. Well, in the hot seat with WRP, we appreciate you, Miss Nita Howard, for coming on and sharing your story. And with that, we are out.